Into a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here?
Well, the funny thing about that intro is, one, it was the wrong intro. Two, at least one of those guests is correct tonight. We're going to have the recording finally of a partner that we've had for about a year. But when you have different organizations or I guess different backgrounds and everything going, and you've got stuff everywhere, well, mistakes happen. And welcome everybody. It's Wednesday, which means pACT, podcasting for all, coming together. This is the halfway point for our Community Pay It Forward One Hope Wine fundraising event. Once again, we've got two great individuals with us. We've got Lori Landon from the Lori Landon organization, Lori Landon Foundation. And then we've got Dennis Schrader from, I know from, oh my God. Okay, there we go. And now I know I'm messed up here. Thank you, the Price of Freedom Foundation. I am so sorry, Dennis. You can flog me later. And this is the scary thing. Dennis is also going to be the first guest that we have. Yeah, well, you can type faster than I can think, obviously. But Dennis is going to be our first guest on our brand new show on May Day. May Day, we have a problem. Dennis is going to be sharing a story with us today that you will see why we're doing what we're doing. So once again, that's Dennis Schrader with the Price of Freedom Foundation. So I just wanted to let you guys know that we are, on May Day, which is May 1st, Monday, May 1st, at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. We're starting a weekly show to talk about suicide. It's a 1-hour show. We're all going to get together. Many of our friends, we're going to get together, and we're going to be bringing on stories about people, whether they've attempted to commit suicide, and found a way to pull themselves out, whether they've lost someone to suicide, whether they have a program or product or whatever that's going to help somebody. And our goal on this is to make sure that, no matter what you do, if it's going to help someone, we want to bring you on. So if you have any ideas whatsoever, we want you to get a hold of us. All you got to do is go to communitypayupforward.us. Once again, that's communitypayupforward.us. Go to the contact tab and get a hold of us. I will be sharing a little bit later a job form that you can take, and you can do whatever you want to do. One of the goals that we have for this is we are going to make a very, very extensive database that has to do with you putting in your situation, and it's going to shoot out people who can help you in your situation. There's a lot going on, and one of my partners in this, you guys know her, you guys love her, I love her. She's been with me. We figured it out that we are about ready to celebrate our first anniversary. So I am so honored to bring on the goddess of the grape, Stephanie Samos. Stephanie, thank you for covering me and my numb tongue. Numb brain is actually what it is.
Pregnancy brain fog is rubbing off on you, Zach, and I'm so sorry.
I've been telling people for a long time that I must have gotten pregnant after I quit smoking, because I gained like 180 pounds, and that was 17 years ago. So this kid's going to come out ready for college, but one of these days I've got to lose some of this weight. But Stephanie, as I mentioned, you are a huge part of Mayday. We have a problem. Just briefly, before we bring on our very, very special guests, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to doing with this?
I mean, as you mentioned, a database of resources. I think, when you brought that up, I kind of thought to myself, do I have resources to provide somebody? And I don't. So I think collectively, with this incredible group that you've, gathered together, we're going to be able to create that and be able to provide that to others that might know someone in need that may need them. So I think that's really, really incredible. And just over the last few years with my work with these awesome nonprofits, some of them you'll hear from tonight, they've really inspired me. I'm not a veteran myself, but they've really inspired me, not only in this work, but in our other work too. So I am honored to be a very small part of it and really excited for what's to come.
Well, all I know is that we're all very small parts of something that can be very, very large. It's as we state in the meetings that, I'm going to take a different path when it comes to recovery than you are. And so if we leave out anybody's type of recovery, if we leave it out in the open, or just leave it out of the system, that's not going to be available for them. And I think it's not just unhealthy for them. We're talking about suicide. It's deadly. So taking and trying to put it in there to where people can put in their situation, and it's going to take and put out information for somebody who deals with that situation. I think that is, I think it's a goal that we're really looking forward to. Hi, Ghost. You're going to get up here. Thank you. My co-host number 2 is here apparently. So, all right. Well, Stephanie, let's go on ahead and get started here. I'd like first to introduce. You guys met her 2 weeks ago. She is so fantastic. She is a community pay it forward mission partner. And this is Lori Landon from the Lori Landon Foundation. Hello, Lori. How are you?
Hey, I am so great. I'm so happy to be here with you guys tonight. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'll bet you're also happy that I didn't forget your name. So, and now the guy that I have to apologize immensely to, Mr. Dennis Schrader of the Price of Freedom Foundation. I will tattoo it on my head, Dennis. I am so sorry, my friend.
That's fine. It happens to the best of us. Next time you come out here to Middle Tennessee, you can buy me a cigar.
there you go. That sounds great. I'm gonna ask a question that I don't think I've asked in ever on this show, but let me ask you all: was there anything in the nonprofit world that happened this week that kind of caught your eye, or anything that happened that that you guys are a little concerned about when it comes to nonprofits?
You mean like an experience with our nonprofit, something that happened?
Or anybody else's? Because I know that right now we've got, look, let's be honest here. We've got, and I don't like getting too political. We got legislations that are going on right now that are really starting to tie a lot of people's hands both ways. It's not just one way, it's both ways. And I want to make sure that we kind of put it out there to where we can protect and hopefully support some people who are falling in the cracks. So, the answer might be, no, I don't.
I haven't seen anything recently, but I have noticed, my organization has been around for 4 years now, and it was actually started way before that. And that there is you try to do something good and there's always unintended consequences. And so the tax code, they raised the standard deduction, which put a lot more money back into the pockets of the working class and the poor. But what it also did is, for people who were contributing as individuals to nonprofits, it made it clear after you started paying attention to it that it really didn't matter. Your donations weren't going to get you anything more in terms of a tax deduction at the end of the year. So there has been a steady decline in individual donations from the, except for the top maybe 10 or 20% of the income earners in this country. And I think that is a very sad thing. And I think it is a dangerous thing for nonprofits overall, because those that are established and have major donors are now paying attention to a much, much smaller segment of the population. And I think in the long term, that's not going to be a good thing.
Did either one of you guys have your organization registered on Amazon Smile? You did. Were you one of them that was removed?
Well, I know that they were stopping it about a month later after I had gotten on. They announced they were going to be closing it down.
I tried to get mine registered with Amazon Smile, but I have a little bit of a beef with the IRS, because though they were quick about granting us a 501c3 status, they classified us as a private foundation and never explained why. And Amazon Smile is not applicable, would not accept us into that program. And there's a lot of other potential funding sources that as a private foundation, you just are excluded, because they assume that you've got a ton of money and that you're the one that has the deep pockets and you don't need their help. Well, it's not the case with us. And IRS is not really good about explaining how or why they did what they did. And they have a 5-year program for the folks that have the deep pockets to go from a private foundation to a public charity, which is just more
Well,
time
like I
and
said,
effort and stuff that we can deal with. But
that's one of the reasons why I am so adamant on us continuing what we're doing with my program, because you know what, Dennis, Lori, and Stephanie, you know this as well. And you're about ready to start getting into the nonprofit world. You guys work a hell of a lot harder than the big guys do. You guys don't have that staff that, that can go out and do the things. You guys are the nonprofits. And that's the reason why I think that what has happened there, I'll be honest with you, it makes me sick. It really does, that they're going to still support the big guys, and the little guys, again, they get the boot. So, but let's talk about some good news, and let's talk about trying to find ways to support you guys. And we're going to do it in a weird way, because what we're going to do is, Dennis, first off, tell us about the Price of Freedom. Can you please, again, tell the people who were not here the last time, tell us what the mission of Price of Freedom is. Sure. And then, and we're just going to warn everybody that the story that you're going to hear is heavy. And it's very heavy. So please take, take that into consideration. But tell us about the Price of Freedom Foundation, your mission, and then tell us your story.
Okay, super. The Price of Freedom Foundation is dedicated to telling the complete life stories of those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom, the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who have died while serving in our nation's armed forces. And that's not just in combat, it's from any source, including suicide. And what we do with that is we work with the Gold Star families. We try to identify as many people as possible that knew the fallen from their childhood all the way through the end of their life. Do in-depth interviews with each of those individuals, collect things that tell or help to tell the story. So photos, letters, videos, social media accounts, etc. Give all of that to a writer who then produces a full biography, and we provide that in both, publish that in both, hard copy, paperback, ebooks, and eventually audiobooks. And we record all of those interviews with the intent to eventually create video documentaries to tell that story to an even wider audience. We do that for two basic purposes. One is to collect and preserve those stories for future generations, because as we get older, our memories fade, and the kids, grandkids, great grandkids, won't hear everything that we have to say, and our memories may not be as clear. So rather than making people do their own individual research, why not do it now? And the second purpose is that the number one common thread amongst Gold Star families is the sense that their loved one will be forgotten and their sacrifice no longer honored. And that is actually supported by research that's been done by USU's, the Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences, and their long-term military survivor grief studies that have been going on for at least the last 10 years. So those are our two purposes. And I mentioned suicide because I know that there are hundreds of active duty personnel, and I would include in there also National Guard and Reserve components as well, who take their lives every year. And I was a person who, before I ever joined the military, when I was a student in high school, I came very close to committing suicide myself. I had an aunt that was on my mother's side of the family who did commit suicide in the early 60s. And I remember feeling guilty about that, because as a kid, we would sometimes make fun of her, and she had never married, never had any kids. And lived in a tiny town in southeastern Montana and didn't have much in the way of hopes and dreams, etc. And, I felt at that time, as I was partly responsible for her taking her life when I was only like 9 or 10 years old. Fast forward to my being in high school, I was just a messed up kid. I really was. Now I look back upon these experiences and I see what it had taught me and how I've been able to benefit from the experience. But my father was a Navy man, and my mother, being from this tiny town in Montana, was afraid to stay at the Navy bases when he'd go out to sea. And the Navy sent him out to sea a lot. So every time he'd have a shore assignment, we'd move to the base. Most of the time it was San Diego, but other bases as well throughout his career. And then when he'd be out at sea, we'd move back to southeastern Montana. And I changed grade schools, I think 9 times in 8 years. And he retired from the Navy when I entered high school and moved from his last assignment was the Great Lakes Naval Training Center in North Chicago, Illinois. And I came in there, different style of haircut and all of that. And I went to an all boys Catholic school and had no female associations. Didn't have any friends there that were girls, and all the other guys did. And it's like, I just felt like I was such an oddball, and I felt that I was unattractive, and I felt like all of those things were going on in my head. And I knew that my father had a .38 revolver that he kept, and he kept it in his bedroom. And being the oldest of 7, it's like I'm looking back and thinking back, and like, I don't know how it was, because we lived in this tiny, tiny house. But there was this one evening, and I was the only one in the house. And I had decided that I was going to end it. And so I went into my parents' bedroom. I found where he kept his .38 revolver. I sat on their bed, and I put that revolver to my right temple, and I had my finger on the trigger. And there's a thought that came to my head at that time, because I was not angry or upset with my parents. It was all anger directed inside. And the thought was, what are your parents going to think when they find their oldest son with his brains blown out all over their bedroom? And I knew it would devastate them. And so I took my finger off the trigger, put the gun away, and I never talked about that. I didn't talk about that for at least 20 years. So I just went on. Nobody knew what was going on in my head, and nobody had a clue that I was thinking what I was thinking. So that was the closest I personally came. But that thought process, the thinking about ending my life, when I went on to college, I went to UCLA for 2 years and then Seattle University for my final 2 years. We'd get around and talk in the ROTC day room, and we'd talk about stuff. And I would talk about suicide and try and make it a joke. But I guess it was a way of me letting people know that I was thinking about it, but not in a way that anybody really took it serious. But they did call me Suicide Schroeder for a while, because I would talk about this on a fairly regular basis. After I became a commissioned officer, I was a medical service corps officer. And I knew that anybody who, this was in 78, and through the 80s and 90s, they were making a big effort to try to encourage folks to seek assistance, mental health assistance. But I also saw that those that did had their security clearances at least flagged, if not revoked. And that meant you couldn't be promoted. So you're basically ending your military career if you're a junior officer in doing that. I think part of the reason that I chose the degree I got, which was in psychology and then later in counseling, was because I knew that I was messed up and I was trying to do a self-help way of getting my head straight. But it was a very long and tough journey in going about that. I know that this self-loathing and self-hatred that I felt was present frequently. And the way it would manifest would be always when I was by myself, usually when I was driving someplace, and I'd be driving down the road and just saying the vilest, foulest things about myself that you could imagine. And then I go from that to trying to counter the thoughts, and the more that I fought with them, the stronger they were. I know that during my time in the service, I was married twice while I was in the service. I was not faithful in either of those marriages, and I took on all of that guilt and that shame. And when there were other conflicts going on between in the marriage, I would frequently think about and start planning for how I would end my life. And up until the very end of my career, even I was Lieutenant Colonel out at a Triple Army Medical Center in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I had been having issues with not sleeping well. So I had acquired enough sleeping pills, and I drink occasionally, so I always had some liquor around. And so I'd had this plan that, if things went a certain way, that I was just going to take a hike up into the mountains there in Hawaii and down that bottle of sleeping pills and drink that bottle of vodka that I had there with me. So it was something that was with me and beyond. I mean, that continued. Probably, I'd say that I didn't actually break that mental habit until probably 10 or 15 years ago. And I'm almost 67 now. So I was well into my 50s when this changed. And I can't really put my finger on why. I can't really say this is what it was that helped me to do that. I do know that after I retired from the military, that what I discovered for myself is that I called these mental storms. And rather than try and fight these horrible things that were going in my head, I would find a place like here in this room right behind me. There's two doors, nice big walk-in closet. I'd go into a closet like that, shut the door, and just let the mental storm rage. And I wouldn't try and fight it. I made a commitment to myself that I wasn't going to do anything about it. I was just going to sit there and let it go and ride out the storm. And an hour would pass maybe, and it would be over. And then I'd go back about my business. And I know that, and that's been my personal experience with almost committing suicide and having thought about it for 30 years or so and the like. And so I have an empathy for those that are suffering in maybe similar ways, and for those who have actually taken that step, and for the families of those who have. Because I mean, I'm so thankful that thought came into my head that reminded me that at that point in time, I had a mother and a father who loved me and had no clue that I was thinking about this, no clue that I was going through any of this. And I was able to think about them and choose to not take that step. And so I'm hoping, and part of what we want to do with our stories with the Price of Freedom Foundation is to include those families. Because I honestly, I think that servicemen suicide, I think those families are excluded from the Gold Star Family program. And they shouldn't be. They should not be. that was it's a problem. It's a problem in the service. It's a problem in our society here in the United States and worldwide. And it's something we should do everything that we can to help these individuals, people like I was, to be able to see that there is a reason to go on another day, and that there are options.
When those families, I'm sorry. First off, thank you for sharing that, Dennis. I know that's a very, very difficult story, but when those families are not included, isn't that kind of like what we were just talking about with Amazon? You're kind of telling us that you can pick and choose who's worthy.
It actually is.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
It is. And actually the first story, our first book that's due out any day now, we don't know, but it was most likely a suicide that the Navy decided they were going to not call a suicide. Our first story is the story of Alfonso Abdalemos, who was 18 and a half years in the Navy, born in the Philippines, served in the Philippine Army, had a wife and 3 small children, and he was lost at sea off of the USS Kitty Hawk. Storm at sea, so it was late at night. So there's a possibility that it was an accident, that he could have slipped, fallen, gone overboard. But he had had a suicide attempt 11 years prior where he had slashed his wrist. And we called it the book Silent Soul because he was in many respects even more of a silent person than I was. And I think we all know people that are like that people, they love to make people laugh. They sing songs. They like to be the life of the party. And they never, ever, ever talk about things that are troubling them. And so this family was blessed because the Navy did not count it as a suicide. So they were able to get the benefits that they offer to other servicemen or Navy deaths at that time. But then the family believes, and that we believe, that it was at least a 50% chance or more that he took his own life. 18 and a half years, you're thinking, I got a year and a half to go. What am I going to do after I leave the service? Yeah. Am I going to be able to support my family? Who am I, and how am I going to define myself when I no longer have the uniform to wear? All those kinds of thoughts, I'm sure, were going through his head. And since he never talked to anybody about those kinds of things, we really don't know if that was the motivation or if actually something else happened to him. We really don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we hear quite often, and a good friend, Brian Gibson, says, every time I came home from deployment, my wife had a different husband. Mm-hmm. These kids go in simply that, as children. They don't come out the same people ever. I mean, there's a new training the government takes, and they put a training in your head. You become what they need you to be. And they take out who you were. And, I think it's one of those times that I don't think that they put back in enough of who you were allow you to become who you were. So when you get back out, people will understand you a little bit more, because, you've got experiences that your high school friends that didn't join, they're not going to know. Your wife, as much as she's going to try, your wife or husband, as much as they're going to try, it's not like they're going to be able to sit there and they're not going to be able to hold a conversation with you and completely understand what you're going with. So the family aspect that all of us have talked about, I think that's so important. Dennis, what are some of the things other than, obviously we want people to help by buying bottles of wine right now, but what are some of the other things that can really help out the Price of Freedom Foundation? And I'm going to preface this by saying one of the best things that you can do for the Price of Freedom Foundation is tell people about it. If you tell people about it, every time you tell one person, you're actually probably telling four, because that one person that you tell is going to tell somebody else, and we're going to keep talking about it. And that's how we can take these smaller nonprofits and we can make a difference with them. Okay. So, but other than spreading the word and financially, what are some of the other things that people can help you with?
Basically, we're a volunteer-run organization. Nobody here, we don't have the resources to pay anybody. Eventually, someday, I hope to be in that position where we can. But we have some very specific needs. We need writers. The writer who wrote our first book took 5 months of his life to pour into it. We will be paying him a royalty on any sales that we get. So he will get compensated, eventually. But we have 3 other families currently that we're wanting to support, and we need writers for those stories. So if anybody's published a book, or maybe they haven't been published, but they know they can tell a good story, we would love to have you join us as a volunteer in that capacity. We need researchers because although many writers are also researchers, we don't want to put all of that burden onto just the writer's shoulders. So when we go about and do our interviews and get information about the person whose story we're telling, we know that there are things that are outside of the parameters of the interview that we do that we should incorporate into the story. So when a person has spent time in a certain place or location, when they have been assigned to a specific military unit at a time and place, we need researchers to go in and pull as much other information about those times, those places, that can help to fill out the story. And I'll give the example in our first story. Our writer had the benefit to us of making it clear that we needed researchers because he had been a criminal investigator for the Air Force during his active duty time. And what he did is he went and took the information on the ship and the date when Alfonso went missing, and he went to find out exactly where they were, the lat and longitude, what else was going on, the storm, the sea conditions, the sort of the geopolitical atmosphere that they were in at that time, and why that ship was moving where it was. And that also helped to fill in some things about what life was like for Alfonso in his roles and responsibilities on that ship. So having researchers that can help us to flesh out the details is very important. So we definitely need researchers in that way. And then finally, I live in Tennessee. I would love to be able to have a representative, somebody who loves what we're doing and can essentially be an advocate for us in every state in the country. So if somebody connects with us on a heart level and says, I've got the time, I've got the energy, and I'm willing to, represent Price of Freedom Foundation here in Texas or Utah or wherever it is that they may live, we'd love to have you join us, and that would be absolutely phenomenal.
Well, now I would like to ask Stephanie and, of course, Lori, did either of you have anything that you would like to ask or comment about?
Well, Dennis, thank you. Going back to your story, thank you so much for sharing that. The mental storms you described were overwhelming for me to even listen to. You are so strong, man. I just have to throw that in there. But, thinking back, if what can be done for someone who might be experiencing something similar, like to help them overcome? Could there have been something that someone could have done?
Where I was at, I wasn't willing to share it with anybody. So I would say be aware that there are people in your life that may be going through this that you just don't know. You just don't know. And if they're willing to talk about it, to just have offer a shoulder for them to cry on, so to speak, or to be open to.
Yeah,
would have helped for me a lot.
Yeah, the truth about it is you got to remember that every conversation, when you end that conversation, if you leave people without an answer, it could be the last conversation. So, just please be vigilant. Lori, did you have anything that you wanted to?
Yeah, I want to say, thank you again for sharing that. I have been around people and families who have been involved with suicide. And from an early age, actually, one of my friends at school in 7th grade tried to commit suicide. And then I had multiple families where their child had committed suicide. And so I've been around that, and it is devastating. And I think oftentimes, like you said, Dennis, they're not ready to talk. They're not, or maybe they're in denial. Maybe they're just so down that they don't feel comfortable sharing. It's very complicated. And I think, like you said, Zach, is just making sure that when you speak to people, that you leave them better than when you found them, that you leave them happier than when you found them. Don't let them go away angry or bitter or more depressed. You want to lighten their load, and because we never know what they're going through. And I think that's one thing that's real important to me, is that I leave people better after conversation than when they came to me. I really strive for that. And I
would
think
add probably one thing to that, and that is just to emphasize to folks that if they're important to you, let them know that they're important to you.
Absolutely.
So that when they're thinking, oh, nobody will, the world will be a better place without me, or when they're thinking, nobody was going to care if I'm here or if I'm not. If you're the one saying, you matter to me, you're important to me, I really value your friendship, or whatever relationship you have there with them, that'll help at least put that thought somewhere in the head that that other thought is a lie.
Yeah. Well, with what you were just saying, I love it, Stephanie. I get to use my little saying, no matter how softly you walk, you're going to leave a footprint. So, there's going to be people who are going to miss you. Hey, Lori, let's move on over to you real quick. And where I didn't want to turn this into a suicide show, this is kind of a perfect time to explain a little bit about what the Lori Landon Foundation can do. Why don't you tell us the story of the family that you were telling us previously to coming on? You dealt with the loss of a child, and then due to illness and just the loss of the child, you had a mother that committed suicide.
I did. I made 2 trips to Africa last summer to serve people and to meet people and develop relationships. And my first trip over there, I met a young boy. He was 11, and got to know him. I was helping to support him in his soccer endeavor, just personally. Really excited. He had never had the opportunity to play, and he was going to be able to be on a team. He was so thrilled. Didn't have a lot of money. They lived in poverty. And before I went back for my second trip, a couple weeks after that one, just in that short time, this young boy got malaria, and within 2 days he died. We didn't know in time. Otherwise, we would have been able to get him treatment. So the mother she was a single mom. She lived in a 1-room apartment with the son and a 6-year-old boy in this one room. They had no money. they hadn't, almost no food, pretty much no food. And the youngest boy also got malaria. So we got him treated. We got him to the hospital, and he was a 6-year-old boy who I actually got to spend time with on my second trip. And during that process, we found that the mother had no money to be able to bury the son that died. And this boy lay dead in their one-room apartment for 4 days. And she was devastated because she knew that the only option she had was to throw him in the trash can because she had no way to move the body. And she was just devastated. It was traumatic. It was horrible, you can imagine. So we provided a burial for this boy. We got him the clothing, the casket, the transportation to the village where she had come from, where they were going to bury this child. And this burial, it's another story in itself, but it impacted an entire village. That village, it's just been so beautiful to see their response to the service that we did in providing this funeral. Well, during that funeral, the mother passed out and was taken to the hospital. And she was diagnosed with HIV, which just wiped her out. Her one son was still in the hospital getting treatment. The other one had just been buried. She was diagnosed with this illness. And knowing how people would treat her for the rest of her life because of what she had was just too much. And the day after we got the son back from the hospital, this mom committed suicide, which left the 6-year-old boy to find her and to try to survive afterwards by himself. And so again, we provided this funeral for this mom and the burial. And when I was able to go back, I was able to build a relationship with this James, this little boy, and spend time with him, take him to dinner. And that adventure led us to serving another young child who lived in the slums and helping their whole family. And it was incredible. But the weight of everything, dealing with those 4 days of not knowing what to do with the son and no food and no rent money, which we were able to help her with, she was just overwhelmed. It was that life was already hard. They were in poverty. They had no money. They had no work. They had a lot of struggle. And to add those things on top of each other all at the same time, it just was too much for her to handle. And so she didn't make it. But we, through that, have made such a beautiful impact in the village where she was buried and where the son was buried. And we have made such a difference in the young boy's life. We are staying very connected to him. He's on our soccer club, our football club over in Kenya, and being able to live out that dream for him. And it's really made a big impact in his life. And when we took him to dinner, I have pictures of how the big smile on his face, which he had never been able to go out and do that. That was something special for him. And it turned his life around, really did. But that's what people go through. The people we serve are people in need. And our foundation is designed to meet people in their need, help them become self-reliant and want to give back. And that's exactly what's happening. We have saved over 50 lives now. We have provided now, the number went up this week because we had another burial. We've now provided 8 burials, 7 children and then that mom, which honestly has been such a beautiful gift to me to be able to do that and to be able to provide that for these people who don't have that opportunity. They have no option. We have provided food, water, clothing, school supplies, school fees for orphanages, for families, for individuals. We have provided business opportunities, help people create businesses. When I took this young boy to this dinner, and we were just leaving, we were getting our Uber driver, I saw a little girl sitting at the side of the parking lot. And I could tell she was hungry. I could tell she was very ill. So I walked over to her and talked with her, and we got her dinner. And I asked Habil, my manager there in Kenya, to go find her again and find out where she lives. And we were able to do that. We found her single mom, her little sister, and her. They lived in a slum area. They had nothing. They didn't have beds. They didn't have a stove. They had nothing. And shortly after that, the little sister died. So we provided her funeral. But we were able to take this mom and this little girl that I had found on the street. We took them, got them into an apartment, helped the mother create a business that she wanted to do. The daughter got medical care. We got her into school. She's in the top of her class. This family is thriving, this mother and daughter. And it's just someone that I found as we were walking through, saw them in the parking lot. It's incredible to just be able to meet people in their need and then find out how we can solve the problem, but then help them get out of that situation so that they can become self-reliant and not have to live that way anymore. And that's really what we do. We're working with 100 single moms we've got in Uganda who are on the streets. They have no skills, no opportunity, no education. We're now partnered with an organization. We're getting sewing equipment, beauty salon equipment, and we're going to put together a training center where they can get skilled and be able to create businesses. We have put many people into businesses already, and it's their business of their dreams. It's what they want to do, and helping them realize they can change their life. They can create the life they want. And that's been phenomenal to be able to be a part of that. We're working on getting garden spaces. I have 6 young boys, teenage boys, who were put out of the children's home because there were too many kids dropped off. They had no space to keep these kids. And these kids grew up there. These are 14 to 16-year-old boys who've lived there all their life. They've had no education, no opportunity, and they were just put out on the street. So these are kids I know because I've been there. I've hugged every one of them. They're my kids, right? It's just devastating. So I took these kids. We got them into an apartment where my manager is. So he's right there with them. They've got nearby, and he's helping them with his business, letting them have opportunity to learn the business part that we started for him. And they're being able to learn how to deal with customers, and they go and serve at the children's home. They provide produce for the children's home in our garden that we put together. So they're learning those skills, but we also got them into school. So they're able to go into their careers. One wants to be in business, 3 in agriculture, 1 a teacher, 1's an artist. It's amazing. And now they're able to dream and realize that this is their pivotal moment where they can change their life completely. And it's incredible. This week, we lost another child in Uganda, and we have 3 that we are in the process of saving right now, just within the past couple of days. It's just to be able to do that and to see that difference in people's lives and realize that if I had said no to the inspiration when this came a year ago, those 50 people wouldn't be here.
Yeah. One of the things, and I heard this the other night. I was watching a show, and it was talking about, due to the increase of people in the world and everything, how burial plots are becoming even more difficult. They're difficult here in the United States, and the United States is the youngest country out there. Places like Africa have been there they've been there for a day or two, let's be honest. So I could imagine that it's even really more difficult.
Yeah, it's not the space, though. It's these people live in poverty. They have no money.
Yeah.
And if they have no jobs, they get no treatment. They have no money. The kids, for example, malaria is about $65 to treat over there, okay? If the children, if our orphanages, if these kids or even the adults get malaria, they die.
Yeah. But $65 might as well be $65,000 over there.
You're right. They will not be treated if they don't have the money. I was on a phone call at one point last year where there was a young boy brought in. He was playing in the tree, playing with other kids, and he fell out of a tree. Had internal injury, and while I was on the phone, when they were talking to me, telling me about it, he died. They wouldn't treat him. They wouldn't treat him until we had the money figured out, and it was too late. About a month ago, I served a 70-year-old woman over in Pakistan who was a burn victim. Her whole body had been on fire. I have pictures. It's terrible. And they left her in critical care for a week. They wouldn't treat her. She had no money. So we were able to get money there to get her surgery taken care of. they just suffer. And we don't understand that here because we have resources, we have insurance, we have opportunities to get help. I know it's not always easy for people, but there are opportunities here. There, they have nothing. You know,
Well, our medical ethics, our medical ethics are also a lot different. They can't do that here. Okay, if you're injured,
there's law.
They're going to complain about it. They're going to bitch and moan about it, and they're going to take and get their money somehow, some way. But if you get burned here, you get taken to a hospital, you're at least going to get treatment.
Right.
Is it going to be the best treatment? It's going to be as good as they can give you, probably. But Lori, the same question I asked Dennis, and again, we all know that money's king. Money is king. Money's the top of the line. That's what we need the most. Lori, what else can help your organization? What else is something that, and again, you guys have heard the story about what they do. Please tell somebody else. Tell them to look up the Lori Landon Foundation.
We don't only serve over in the other countries, though we are going completely global. We've got well over 20 countries in line to be coming in. I mean, it's unbelievable, beautiful. But we also serve U.S., right? We serve the veterans, we serve the homeless. One of the things we are working on right now, I have partnered with, it's been amazing. Doors are opening like crazy. It's beautiful. I've partnered with an entertainment company over in New York, and this is going to be a lifelong journey. I'm going to continue this because I love it so much. Their entertainment company is designed to run benefit concerts for charities to help raise funds. So what we have decided to do, having been a prior music and theater teacher, right, and teacher in schools, we are partnering with schools to put on these concerts. For example, we have booked a concert up in Washington State in November. We partnered with the PTA. The PTA is going to get a very beautiful fundraiser out of this, and they're going to be helping us not only get the venue accessible at the rate of the PTA, but also being able to sell the tickets because they have the families, being able to bring in the vendors because they're there locally. We're going to bring in the Journey Band to come in and perform, and because that was the choice they made. They wanted the Journey tribute band. So we're bringing that group from New York. We're flying them over there. And then out of that, they're going to get a fundraiser. We're supporting the schools while we also generate a lot of revenue for the foundation. We're booking one in Southern California, booking one in Maryland. I've got some in the process working towards Texas, maybe Colorado, which is where you are, Zach, Utah, Oklahoma, Idaho, Alaska, Philadelphia, New York, Florida. We've got people that are working on getting these schools where we can partner with the music department, the theater department, the PTA, just any booster organization, sports. We could do sports. That way, not only do we get to bring awareness, and I want to go to every state, by the way, that's my goal. I want to take it and speak and bring awareness of the foundation on the stage to every one of those events. And at the same time, all of those schools are going to be benefited. So the foundation is serving the schools locally, as well as the veterans and the homeless here in the U.S. So it's just a beautiful way. So one of the things they could do for that is connect me to anyone at the school that has a theater of about 700 seats or more. Could be a college, could be a high school, whatever school has a space with that kind of seating. And they could become partners, which would benefit the kids in their school as well as benefit the foundation. So that's one of the big things that I would love to have help with. And it doesn't take any money from them. It's just helping us put it together, right? Organizing it. And then the other thing would be cause marketing or partnering with me in their business, because we are a nonprofit. They do get a tax break, supposedly. And so if they would like to partner with us, either sponsoring our soccer club, although the kids, it's just an amazing story. And if they're interested, have them call me because I would love to share those stories with them. So we've got the soccer club. We've got people, orphanages needing food, and any of the things that they would be interested in. We can either designate it or we can just take generate the revenue and then take it over and serve the people. school supplies, school fees, for the States or for around the world. It's needed everywhere, so there's a lot of things that can be done. Monetarily, monetary donations are definitely very helpful for us because we usually have trouble shipping to some of the third world countries, but we can still make use of donations. Technology, we're working on building training centers. We're trying to get connected. All of my people over there are on Zoom with me every month. So all of those kinds of connections, technology would be very helpful. If you have an old phone, if you have an old computer, I'm sure we can make use of it. They're happy if they get a pencil and paper, some basic school supplies, things like that, clothing, shoes. These kids don't have them. They don't have it. And so any of that would be greatly appreciated. So there's so many ways that could be done to be able to help support us. But I will say, I feel so honored and so blessed. I'm going to get emotional here. Sorry. To be able to do this. And I told my story, I believe, last time a little bit more in depth, but those moments of inspiration that led to bringing me to this point, and those pivotal moments, the illness that I went through and letting go of my career, stepping out blindly, those times, I'm so grateful that I said yes to do this. And as I look back and I think about all of the people and all of the relationships that I've built through this worldwide, it's just amazing. So anyone who wants to be a part of something that brings more love and connection in your life, more relationships, more fulfillment, join me. Come be a part of it with me. There's so many ways we can serve. I've had a few people say they want to go with me on my next trips. They want to be a part of it. They want to feel what I feel, and it's so beautiful, so beautiful.
Well, we want to shout out Mr. Wasserman. Mr. Wasserman's the one who is the lead of putting together these concerts that you're talking about. He does such a wonderful job. Such an energetic little man. He truly is. That guy, you talk to him and you feel like you could run through a building, don't you, Lori?
Yes. And I told him this is a lifelong journey for me with him. I'm so excited about this. So we're getting calls, even Alaska. We're getting called today. Today I got a call that we're going to do a concert in Philadelphia and Florida. I mean, just new ones that have opened up. It's just beautiful. And I just cannot wait to be able to share this with the world and across the nation. And on top of that, the way we are benefiting schools and the children here in the States, it's beautiful win-win. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
One other way that you can help out, Lori, is right here. Sorry, Stephanie, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. Boy, I'm just at it today. But right here, if you scan that QR code in the corner and you shop with any of our partners, they will donate a portion of your purchase. And it can go to the Lori Landon Foundation, which will help them continue the wonderful things that they're doing. So please make sure that if you can't get to your phone right now, if you can't get to the QR code right now, simply go to communitypayitforward.us, type in Lori Landon, and it'll pop up. I would like to give, of course, Stephanie and Dennis, I'd like to give you guys the opportunity. Please, do you guys have anything that you would like to ask or comment with Lori?
How do you keep it all together, Lori? You've got so much going on around the world, and I'm just having trouble with the scope of what I'm trying to do. I can't imagine.
I love what I'm doing. In fact, there's one thing I didn't share, and that has to do with Stephanie. She brought a gentleman from Pakistan to me this week, and we were able to meet. And we are going to be opening a library and learning center for children in Pakistan. And I'm just so excited, and the joy I feel, that's probably, Dennis, that's probably what helps me do it all, because I don't want to stop. I don't want to miss things. I don't want to let anyone down. I want to help these people. And there's so many people that need help. And, as I tell everyone, the giver is the receiver. When you give, you receive so many blessings, and it just makes you want to continue to give. And I think once people expand that giving heart and feel what I feel, they're not going to want to stop either. It's just so beautiful. It's incredible. And with every country come different needs and opportunities to serve in different ways. There's so much variety. It keeps it so exciting to be able to serve in different ways. We're working on putting in farming. We're working on putting in bee farms, putting in schools and training centers in Africa as well, and Nepal, putting in educational centers in Nepal. And I mean, it's just beautiful because we get to go and meet. I plan to travel and see all of these people that I'm serving, meet them, develop this family relationship. That's the way I am. And to be able to go and really meet them and know what their need is, to feel what their need is, and to be able to serve them fully because I do know them. I know what they're going through. And that's what I'm just so thrilled with this opportunity. Just feel blessed, totally blessed. It's wonderful.
Stephanie, you had a comment?
Yeah, no, I mean, shout out to you, Lori. Thank you for taking the time this week. And I'll share really quickly that this gentleman has been following me for over 2 years, keeping in contact with me, reaching out, checking in on how work was going here with, serving the nonprofits. And I was kind of stuck. And when I met Lori through you, Zach, I was like, oh, somebody who can navigate this. This is wonderful. So thank you for connecting with him because I'm just excited. I'm excited for you to go to see them, to video chat you while you're there.
I'm so excited too. And with this gentleman, I mean, it was just providing books, but as it went along, the inspiration hit me that we might as well make this, rather than giving each child their books, make this a library learning center where all of the children can come together. They can share the books, they can learn, they can have papers and pencils and resources to work with, and make it something that will be more impactful and more meaningful,
Over the years.
Excited about it.
I think that's one of the greatest things about what we all do. And I think that you guys will also agree with this. But it's so funny how you start with an idea and you can watch that idea just morph into something that's so completely, once an idea starts, next thing you know, you got 15 more ideas. And yeah, Dennis, like you said, there after a while, you're sitting there going, wait a minute, who am I? So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Stephanie, explain this, please.
1 second before I jump into that. One thing that did really stand out to me with what Lori said was all of these people who she missed with the malaria by $65, you guys. $65. I'm in a matter of life and death with these kids. That's so huge. So I just wanted to say that again because
the food for orphanages for 100 children for a whole month is less than $300. 100 children for an entire month of food, and yet these kids go 4 or 5 days with nothing, not even rice, nothing.
Yeah.
It's unreal. It's just, yeah.
I'm sorry, Zach.
No. Please, I'm glad you brought that up. That's, like I said, it's amazing because we're not used to this in this country. Look, we know what freaks us out with our own country. We know that there are kids in our country that go without food. Okay, we know that there's a hunger problem in our country as well. But like you said, Stephanie, there are people dying in other countries for less than people are spending on fast food every month.
Yeah, right.
You're right.
One trip. Some of us with larger families, that fast food, that's one trip that that you could have saved lives if you would have just taken and repurposed that money. So
one fast food trip, one trip a week to Starbucks that you're make brewing coffee at home instead. You could be sponsoring these incredible organizations with even that $5 or $10 that you were going to spend.
I was going to say
and
that
really,
$5 or $10. It doesn't take much. If enough people do it, right? If enough people will help.
As a matter of fact, if you take and you would make 6 purchases on one of these QR codes, What would that do, Stephanie?
So what I love to share is that with the organizations that I work with, for every $50 that we raise collectively as a group, my way of giving back with this partnership with these incredible organizations is, for every $50 we raise, I'm going to donate 25 personally. And that's unlimited. So that's equivalent to approximately of wine, whether it's to the Price of Freedom Foundation, 2 cases of wine, that's going to be equivalent to a $75 donation, just to kind of put it together for you. Of course, it varies depending on the wine you put in your box a little bit, but approximately 2 cases is going to get a $75 donation to either of these foundations. If you are not on our Community Pay It Forward One Hope fundraising page on Facebook, definitely join us there, because you'll see all the updates for these incredible organizations. And we share some wine and some seasonal recipes and fun things there as well. But the QR codes here will take you directly to the organization that you would like to support. If you just open up the camera on your phone, hold it up to that QR code, it will take you directly to the site. Mother's Day is coming. Spring is here. So definitely refill and sip and support one of these great causes. If you are not comfortable with the QR code, the link is right below as well. onehopewine.com/event/ and then the unique 6-digit code is also right there. So,
well, thank you so very much again to both of you.
Can I put in a plug for Stephanie and One Hope Wine?
Please do. She doesn't get it enough.
Well,
She's amazing.
we did a fundraiser event about almost a year ago, and we had ordered some samplers set of wines, and I wouldn't say that I'm a big wine drinker, but I do drink wines, and I have over the years of my existence here on this earth, and I was hesitant about the Cabernet, and I'm blanking on there's a dry white wine too that was in there, and I think you
had the Chardonnay and the sparkling
Chardonnay,
brut, if I remember.
Yes, and I was actually shocked at how smooth and how tasteful these wines were. I was like, it was unlike any Chardonnay. It was unlike any Cabernet Sauvignon I've ever had. And because most of them, it's like, man, I have to really take this in little tiny sips to get it down. That was not the case with One Hope Wine. So if you were kind of like me and you're kind of on the fence about, another Cabernet, try theirs. They're great.
Thank you, Dennis.
It's so beautiful. I've really gotten to know and appreciate her this past couple of weeks, and it's been a beautiful relationship. I'm excited to continue working with her. Very sweet person.
Look, this $25 is coming out of her own pocket. I mean, this isn't a bonus that she gets from the company. This is coming out of her own pocket. And I mean, look, like I've told everybody, when Stephanie and I first met, we had this immediate connection, and I truly fell in love with the person she is, because she's a like soul, and you guys, your organizations, those are what matter to us. We're doing this because we need more people to see what you guys are, who you guys are, why you're here. We want more people to find you. We want more people to support you, because you guys, I say it every show, the worst thing for you to hear is, I wish I would have known about you before ... That can change. We just need people to talk about you. And whether this show helps my company at all, I don't care. If it gets people talking about you guys, that's what's important to us.
Really appreciate
and when I was telling Stephanie this, we came up with the idea of this show, and she was just, yep, let's do it. It's done. Let's go. And it was amazing, and it's a partnership that I'll never ever regret. So, but once again, I want to thank both of you guys. And if either of you have to take off, that's fine. But it's time for the Goddess of the Grape to take over and show us a few things, tell us a few things that she's got going on. Right down here, you can see, and I know it's a terribly long link, but that is the actual link to the Facebook page. I created.
You do have that QR code with my link tree, Zach. It'll also have a link there for that.
There you
that
go.
Might be a little bit easier than that.
So
long
there
link.
you go. Just use
You
her.
guys have me blushing. How am I going to do this now? And after all the chills with both of your stories,
And you know what? There's no rushing. And this is amazing. Is that, you know what, we get to do whatever we want because I know the boss. He's not going to kick me off. So we're gonna end up unfortunately pushing an interview again, but that's fine because the stories that were told today are that important, and this message is important. So Stephanie, no rush. Take your time, sweetie. Do what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
I do have to. I have a friend I have to go pick up in the town nearby, and so I will have to say goodnight here. Again, thank you all. It's an honor to be here, and actually, I have a couple of folks in mind for future guests for you as well. So
It was nice to meet
we'll
you.
be in touch. Thank you so much.
thank you for being
Well,
here. Dennis.
that would be fantastic. We would greatly appreciate it. Anything that you can do, and you can get a hold of Dennis at info@priceoffreedomfoundation.org. That's once again info@priceoffreedomfoundation.org. The phone number listed on the website is 615-389-1867. Once again, that's 615-389-1867. And remember, it is it's just priceoffreedomfoundation.org.
Correct. On the web. Yes.
Dennis, thank you. Keep up
Thank
the
you.
great work, and we're going to keep trying for you.
All right. Thanks so much. God bless.
Yep.
Bye.
All right, Stephanie, you are up.
Let's jump in. Are you hanging, Lori? Lori's hanging, I think.
I'm right here.
Well, if you're watching the show for the very first time, I might as well go ahead and introduce make me large. Great. Thanks, Zach. I am a cause entrepreneur with One Hope Wine. And what that means is I specialize in fundraising, gifting, private wine events, and wine delivery. If you haven't heard of One Hope, well, thank you, Dennis, for the great background on the wine there. That was wonderful. We are a cause-centered winery out of Napa Valley. What that means is every single bottle of wine we sell gives back to make an impact. How we do that is through the One Hope Foundation, where our main pillars of giving are for clean water, ending hunger, health and education initiatives. In addition, an additional 10% goes to your cause of choice. So definitely, shop to support one of these incredible causes we're highlighting this month. Even after this month is over, going forward, you can keep them as your cause of choice for future gifts, refills, anything that kind of comes up, special occasions. So I love that about this, is that you really get to choose where your donation is going. To date, we've donated over $9 million, which is really, really incredible. So the more of us there are sipping, especially now that it's spring, the bigger the impact we can make together. As Dennis mentioned about the wines, we do have some of the most incredible winemakers in the industry. So if you are a wine drinker and you're familiar with the Mondavi name, we do have Robert Mondavi Jr., and Mari Wells Coyle, who is our head winemaker. She's absolutely incredible. And it is award-winning wines that gets delivered right to your door. So it's as simple as that. It's not complicated. And it's actually pretty quick too. 3 to 5 business days. You're not only supporting your favorite cause, but you're getting a really cool, quick FedEx delivery of your favorite varietals right to your door. So, but what I was thinking would be really
Stephanie,
fun.
I want to get let you have a second to catch your breath. You mentioned something, and it made me want to look it up. And there's something coming up in a month. Do you know what that is?
Are we talking about Mother's Day?
National Wine Day
Oh.
is Thursday, May 25th, 2023. So
let's do it.
There you go. You know, for some reason, I just decided, why not look that up? You know, there's got to be a National Wine Day. Okay. You know, so,
Yeah.
I mean, there's National Talk to Your Rock Day. So there's got to be a National Wine Day. So
there's really fun, interesting national days each and every month, but love National Wine Day. That's really great. And sorry if I sound out of breath. It's this baby that is pressing on all of my organs, you guys.
No, and that's kind of why I was just like, you know what, I want to give her a chance because I don't know what you're going through, obviously, but you know, my kid's still in first trimester or something. But you know, but I please just take your time. We've got all the time in the world. You turned, you are sharing a couple things. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, would love that. So, Mother's Day is almost here. So, you know, my question to the audience was, you know, are you doing brunch? Are you doing lunch? Are you having a small gathering? You know, I wanted to share 2 recipes tonight, not highlight wines and you know, tasting profiles, but I thought it would be really fun to share 2 recipes that are simple yet really delicious that might be a nice pairing for a gathering. So I'm going to share both a red and a white sangria recipe. I personally like to prepare sangria the day before and let the fruit sit in the juice overnight, but it can be made the same day also. So the first one is going to look really nice, and this image is really beautiful. And the second one is actually a really old image that I had to bring back from the archives because it's actually a personal recipe of mine that someone asked for, but it's really delicious. So I thought I'd bring it here for, you know, to share with you all. So first up, and I did it where you can take an actual picture of the photo if you'd like to, just to save the recipe, is the ruby red sangria. So this gorgeous deep jewel tone sangria recipe is bursting with juicy pomegranate, fresh berries, and citrus for a mouthwatering cocktail that will keep you coming back for more. I personally would like to use the Vintner Collection Pinot Noir, and I'm holding it up to the screen just so you can see the label really quickly before we move forward. But the ingredients calls for 1 bottle of our One Hope Vintner Collection Pinot Noir, 2 cups of the pomegranate juice, 16 ounces of citrus, and it could be orange or it could be grapefruit. I personally would go with the orange. You could do a sparkling water or a sparkling brut. I would go with the Vintner Collection Sparkling Brut personally, rather than the sparkling water. But you do have a choice there. Pomegranate seeds, blackberries, orange slices, and it's really super simple. All you're going to do is add the ingredients in a pitcher and stir to combine. I would also refrigerate it overnight or for a few hours if you are not pressed for time with making the recipe. You can top it with the sparkling water or sparkling brut just before serving if you would like to make it a bubbly. Some people like it still, some people like it bubbly, but make sure to add whatever bubbly you choose right before serving, or else it will be flat. So that is the Ruby Red Sangria. It's light, it's refreshing, it's great for this time of year, and Pinot Noir goes with so many foods. So really nice pairing for springtime and the holidays coming up. Even the National Wine Day.
Is this one a lighter? Is this for people who like the lighter side of wines? Is it good for that?
It is a lighter bodied red, the Pinot Noir. So nothing I'm covering tonight is anything that's heavy. Like a bold Cabernet is a bit heavier. The Pinot Noir is lighter. I think you really enjoyed the Pinot Noir, actually, Zach. Now that I'm thinking
did. Yes, I did.
Yeah. And that's one of the reds that is actually really delicious cold. So really good pairing for a sangria.
Well, I think I might have to give that one a shot. I really do. So that looks good. I'll have to throw in blueberries though, because that's just kind of that's my thing. Is
well,
blueberries.
You're speaking my language, because the next image has blueberries on it.
Oh, you mean this one?
So I made this a few years ago, and it was such a hit that people were asking for the recipe. So this is quite old. Made it several times, and over again it was a crowd pleaser. So this is an older photo, so I apologize, but it's from the archives, and it's a delicious recipe. So again, if you do have the ability to refrigerate overnight, I would suggest that. It does allow the fruit to absorb all the juices. If not, I would recommend refrigerating for a few hours before serving. So let's dig into the ingredients on this one. You can absolutely take a picture, if you'd like, of the photo to kind of save it. In this picture that I have photographed, there are 2 bottles of our Vintner Collection Sauvignon Blanc. So if you're not looking for such a big portion, because this was serving others also, you can cut this recipe in half. This is an older photo, so the label does not look like that on the website anymore. I'll actually hold up the label to the camera really quick. It's a little bit different on the Sauvignon Blanc, but it's our Vintner Collection Sauv Blanc. So can you see that? There we go. Okay, perfect. So 2 bottles of the Vintner Collection Sauvignon Blanc. I prefer using Sauvignon Blanc instead of like a really sweet white wine, because this one has a hint of sweetness to it, but it really, the fruit brings out like more flavors in the sangria with this, and it doesn't make it too sweet. This also has 2 cups of orange juice, 1/2 of a cup of brandy, 1 cup of diced pineapple, 1 cup of sliced apples. And I named this a tropical white sangria just because that was kind of all my favorite fruits of the season, all combined. You combine them, stir it, refrigerate it overnight if you can, serve it chilled. And if you would like it bubbly, just before serving, you can add Sprite or sparkling brut. In my experience, some people enjoy it still, some people enjoy it bubbly. So I just like to give, guests the option if you're serving other people. But both of these options would be light, fruity, refreshing, and a perfect pairing for a celebration, for Mother's Day, or a weekend gathering this spring.
Yep. And you were right. You're talking my language. You got pineapple and blueberries. Yeah, we've got a winner. That looks so good. And this recipe is also going to be on the Facebook page, correct?
I will post it there, so you all can find it there also. Yeah, for sure. We talked about the April purchase with purchase promotion last time, which includes the sparkling brut and also includes both of the margarita wine cocktails that we have. So if you're building a box anyway, might as well add that for 50% off. So I'll just mention that again. Oh, look at you, Zach. So on top of it. Thank you.
It's
so that's
almost
really
like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
No clue.
I love it. Yeah, but really fun. Really, really easy to do. And if you need to, in a pinch, it could be made pretty quickly. And it's delicious and a crowd pleaser. Both of these sangrias, I think, depending on what mood you're in, and if you want, more oranges and more of the pomegranate flavors, go with the red. And if you want more blueberries, pineapple, go with the white, or make both.
Yeah. So, and please, everybody, remember the easiest way to get to support the Lori Landon Foundation or the Price of Freedom Foundation is right here. Just scan these codes. These codes are on the Facebook page right now. They're also on Stephanie's on her link tree, so you can find this. If you guys need them, you can always reach out to us at Community Pay It Forward. This episode is going to play throughout the rest of the month, along with the first episode. We still do play it because Lori's story. You know, we got into we got into Dennis's story tonight, and Lori told us her story and her illness. And you know what, Lori, I think that we've got a little bit of extra time here. I mean, we've got 30 minutes left in the show. Why don't you go on ahead and let's get into your story again, if Stephanie, if you don't mind. Okay.
That's nice. Thank you. Yeah, it's quite a journey. My background is music and theater. I have a master's degree in conducting. I taught in the schools for many years. And in 2012, I was diagnosed with an incurable illness and was given 9 pills a day for the rest of my life and told that I would not have any options of changing that. I needed to stay on the medication. There was no other way around it. And so as I began to study this illness, I realized people were dying from it. People were on chemotherapy. They were going through surgeries. And I'm like, okay, I have to find a different way because that's not my path. So while I was still a full-time teacher of the performing arts in the schools, I dove into learning health and wellness. And I, through that process, became a board certified health coach, became a life coach, became a certified essential oil coach. And I've been able to be off all medications for 10 years. It's been a phenomenal journey. And then along that path in 2018, I went to an event. And at that event, we were studying human psychology and diving into our own lives and really pondering. And I really had some inspirational moments. And when I left that event, I knew 3 things. I knew I had to let go of my career as a teacher. I knew I had to focus my life on love and connection. And I had this extreme desire to become free to give in all areas, you know, in health, in time, in location, in purpose, and in finance. And so a month later, I stepped out of my career at the end of that school year, and I went blindly on a new path. I decided, okay, well, I'm going to develop a global coaching business, helping people with their health and wellness and life, because that's what I had been through over those past years. And I realized I didn't have a lot of marketing skills, so I needed to learn marketing. So I invested in myself again, and I learned marketing. I dove into sales funnel building and social media marketing, and I got into challenge marketing, and I had the opportunity to become a certified challenge consultant, right directly from the industry leader himself. And so I took that. I felt led to take it. And I think it was given to me for a reason. And that was to help me with that financial freedom piece and time freedom and purpose freedom, which freed me up for the next opportunity. I had a young man from Kenya contact me on social media asking for my help. Of course, he had no money. He was in a devastated situation. And so I began coaching him and helped him create a business, got into an apartment and helped him just coaching him for free, serving him. And during one of our calls, it was a year ago, January, I was working with him on a call. And it was in that moment that I received the inspiration that I needed to start a foundation that was global. And that I needed to help people like him in their need, solve their problem, help them figure it out and become self-reliant. And through that process, want to give back. And that's where it started. Within about a month, I was a nonprofit officially. That's unheard of. But doors just began to open for me as I said yes. And it was in that moment with this young man that I knew the name of it was going to be the Lori Landon Foundation, my name. It was going to have the tagline, bringing nations together in service, unity, and love. And we were going to do it through a process of reaching out to the one in their unique need, one individual, one family, one organization. We would help meet their need, help them become self-reliant, and plant in them a desire to give back. And that's what's happened. By the end of March, which was that month that I became a nonprofit, I was off to Scotland. A couple of weeks later, I took a trip to Africa for 3 weeks, came back for about 2 weeks, went back again for another 3 weeks to Africa. I've met the thousands and thousands of people we're serving over there. I'm also an auxiliary, lifetime auxiliary member of the VFW. So veterans has always had my heart. So I serve here locally. We serve here, and we're looking for more opportunities of serving veterans. Homeless have always had my heart. So here I've also really been focused on creating homeless bags to give to people for emergency situations and helping people on the street when I find them. I go drive and look for people to help. It's just beautiful. But it's just finding those needs, whatever those needs are. You know, if there's a child here that needs help with food or with school supplies, we would serve them. If there's victims of disaster, we would serve them. We're helping the schools through our benefit concerts. It's just finding the needs, helping meet those needs, and helping them get out of that situation so they're not living a life of begging for help and struggling. They're able to pull out of that and create the life they desire. I run challenges where I teach people in poverty over in Africa how they can create an online business using their experiences and life skills and pull them out of their state of poverty. You know, it's just amazing to be able to serve people in their need and not say, you know, I can only do this, and if you don't have this need, I can't serve you.
Yep.
I don't want to be in that situation. And that's why it was so important to me that this was set up where we meet them in their need, whether it's building a large school or training center, whether it's building a hospital, medical facility, whether it's helping people have a farm where we can provide produce for the children's homes and the communities who have no food, or training the kids that want to go into agriculture. They can have that farm to be able to develop the skills they need to go into it as a career, or provide job opportunities for people. I mean, it can be all kinds of things, whatever the needs are. We just meet them in their need. And it's just been an amazing year. It's been an amazing year.
You and I did talk about that. The one reason why I set up Community Pay It Forward the way I did is because I don't feel, well, I know for a fact I never want to look at somebody and say, I'm sorry, but I can't help you because you're outside of my little 501c3 box. I don't. There's you know, this is too important. When people come to us and they need help, we want to try to find a way to do that. Lori, how is your health now?
My health is fine. I've had no medications for over 10 years. And it's all been done naturally. And I've been doing great. You know, and it's just, I'm sure, you know, health is a journey. It's a lifelong journey, right? But to be told that this illness was incurable, that I would never get off that 9 pills a day for life. I was on it less than a year. I weaned off it slowly as I was learning and studying. And I just, from there on, it was just all natural. It was all natural. And it's been incredible. It's been an incredible journey. Not only have I learned so much, right, through that process. And like I said earlier tonight, our obstacles are the way. You know, we learn from the trials, and they're there for us to become better, but also for us to be able to help others later. And I find that through that journey of healing and going through the process of learning and becoming certified as a coach, now I'm able to use all of those skills in health, in life, in business, because I'm a business mentor also through challenge marketing and helping businesses scale in their businesses. Being able to use all of those skills to help serve these people around the world in their need, whether it's creating a business, getting out of their economic state, whether it's helping heal, helping the kids prevent illness. I can use all of those skills that I've learned as I coach and serve these people. And it's really been incredible to just be able to see the need and then be creative and figure out, innovative, right? Visionary, as I put in a post this week, to be able to just see and create opportunities of helping them in whatever that need is. It's really amazing.
You know, your story really reminds me of a story that I listened to, and it was a story that was written about by Dale Carnegie. and he was in his book How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and he was talking about an individual that he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, I've got some bad news for you. You might as well take and settle your affairs, because you ain't living much longer. And this guy said, okay, well, you know what? I don't want to see anybody, I don't want anybody to see me die. So he took and he loaded a casket onto a ship. When he got onto that ship, he started doing what he needed to do, and he started relaxing, and he started letting things go a little bit. And he was able to travel around the world, and he made it back. And he went back into the doctor, and like you said, he went back into the doctor. The doctor gave him a checkup, and the doctor was like, "What the hell did you do? You're not sick anymore." And he goes, "I relaxed." What you're doing, what your mission is, while at times we know it's stressful, it's relaxing. There's the saying, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life.
You're right. And when I was working, I didn't have health freedom. I didn't have time freedom. I didn't have location freedom. I really didn't have purpose freedom. And I definitely didn't have financial freedom. But that's what I'm creating for myself through this. And it's amazing. I have all of those freedoms now, really. So it's just when you find the thing that you love to do, and especially when it's blessing others' lives, and I will put that in there because you'll always be blessed for that, right? So when you find the thing you love to do and you're blessing others' lives, it changes everything.
Yeah.
I wake up and I love every day. Every day I'm serving people globally, whether in business or in foundation. I love every day, and I'm in charge of every day. I can decide what I want to do each day. I don't have to clock in, clock out. I don't have to go drive and commute to my work. I can serve people every single day. And there's nothing better than that. Nothing better. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love hearing, well, there's just nothing I can do, because it's like, wait, let's think about this. Let's put feelings aside, which is difficult for somebody who's in the middle of a crisis. Let's be honest here. I mean, there are times that you sit there and you think, oh my God, there's no way anybody could have ever been through this. And that realistically, that's just not true. There are people around that we can lean on. And the thing is that nobody's, we haven't been given that chance to tell that story and say, look, this is how I bridged that gap. Now you can get across that bridge and build another one to help somebody else across.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that that's one of the biggest importance. That's why I put such an importance on having people tell their story, because what you do is important, right? You guys will both agree with that. What we do is important, but that's not who you are. Who you are is your background. Who you are is that story to get there. It led to what you do.
I never dreamed of doing this. I never imagined it. Even when I let go of my career, I had no clue what was coming ahead. But I know now why I had to focus on love and connection in my life for 5 years.
Yeah.
It has completely changed my heart. Completely. And I loved people before. I did. And I thought, well, why do I feel so strongly? Now I understand, because I've had to have a heart that can encompass the world. It's unbelievable, the change when you focus on those things. So when we feel like we can't do something, if you focus on, yes, I can do it, and what do I need to change about myself to become the person that can do it? And that's what I did. I focused on love and connection. I focused on developing and saying yes to the opportunities. And as I did that, more opportunities came. More people came. I never once had to go find someone to help me. They came to me. The people I coached came to me. My clients came to me. The opportunity of creating an online business in marketing came to me. It wasn't something I looked for. I wasn't planning it. And that's what's so beautiful, is that as I look back over these past years since 2018, when I let go of my career, everything, every mentorship, every opportunity, every person to serve with me, all of my managers in those countries, they all came to me. And the connection was love and connection. Serving them, they have joined me. We serve together. And when I go over there, they go with me to the other countries and serve together. They are becoming brothers from different countries of Africa, which normally wouldn't communicate with each other.
Yep.
They're brothers, they're family now. We serve together. And that's where that tagline that was inspirational, bringing nations together in service, in unity, and in love, fit in, because that's what's happening.
Yeah, that caught my eye, and that's the reason why I typed that in. Stephanie?
I think that it takes a certain type of special person, and it looks like you're doing the personal development work and have done that in order to do this and create this ripple effect. But if you listen to, the interview earlier and the conditions that these people are in, and the stress and the living conditions, everything, for them to have the ability to even think outside of that. And now you're coaching them through starting businesses. Like, that's so huge. It's so huge. I know people in this country who get stuck, right? And don't know where to turn, but they're not fighting for their lives with, different illnesses. They're not, wondering where their next meal is going to come from. And the fact that you can work with these people, and you have over 100 single moms like that you're working with to get businesses up and going.
We have thousands
It's
of
just
people we're serving. Thousands.
so incredible. So incredible.
And what's so beautiful is I got to meet and hug every one of these people.
Yeah.
I have a relationship with every one of these people. And when I went back the second time,
I love that.
I saw them again, hugged them. We're family, and sat in their mud homes and had dinner with them. Sat on the ground and had dinner with the orphans. It was just so amazing. But that is what I knew in the moment that this came, that I had to travel so that I could know who I was serving with personally and develop those relationships, but also know the people I'm serving so that I could really meet their needs and help them better. And that's really my goal for this whole thing. Whenever we expand to we're already serving in Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, Pakistan, and here, US. But we have ready to open South Africa, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Ghana, Liberia, Mexico, Cuba, New Zealand, Scotland, Nepal, Pakistan, India. Now we have Romania, Bulgaria, and Poland. All of these I have connections in that I could open instantly if I wanted to serve there, right? So as soon as we can fund it, because it's way beyond me now, it's big. But as soon as we can fund it, I'm going to be expanding to those countries. And, just the opportunity of being able to find what their needs are in those different places, which are going to be different. They're going to be very different. How beautiful that is to just be able to go in and find someone who needs help and to be able to just love and serve them.
Oh, yeah.
And, it ties into that suicide thing too, because a lot of these people are in such a devastated state that just telling them how much I love them and how we are family, we are the same, we're equal. It doesn't matter what color we are. It doesn't matter where we live or what our economic state is. We are equal. We're brothers and sisters, right? We're family. And to see that and how just that piece changes them. I asked them once in Uganda, I said, it costs a lot of money for me to travel here. I said, would you rather that I take that money and make donations so that you can get the things you need, like food, medical care? And they said, no. They said, you being here is more important. Just your presence being here is more important than that donation would be. That is, it brings tears to my eyes. The love, the appreciation, gratitude, humility, all of those words, it was amazing. Amazing.
And, and just someone else in your life. So, Stephanie, with what you're doing, I think that with what you're doing, one of the greatest things about what you are doing is you get to be the super mom you are. And at the same time, you are helping countless numbers of nonprofits just by doing something that you love. And how
and that's kind of
important was it?
evolved over time too.
Yeah.
Zach. What was your question? I'm sorry.
How hard, I mean, how difficult was it for you to make the change and go into this? And now how happy are you did that?
It's definitely been a journey, and I won't dive into the whole story because that'll take way too much time right now, but I've definitely been on a journey over 7 years now, medically with my children, and I've really using this platform to try to help him. And I think I cut out for a second. At the same time, as I dove into the work with all the different nonprofits, it's been so inspiring to hear, maybe this set of nonprofits is helping veterans, but in so many different ways, so just, I feel like different parts of my life are kind of connecting together in a way is the best way that I could describe it. And things that we've been working on for over 10 years now are kind of starting to trickle together, which is really cool. Along with the baby, I don't know, like along with all these things happening in the next months, the baby's also being born is amazing. But, it has my brain going with, okay, food issues, homelessness, all these things. And what can we do to be able to generate more, to be able to help those communities? And I haven't connected all the dots.
Yeah. You know what, though? I think one of the greatest things about this is that you and I have sat here and we've talked to people, and you have seen the struggle with a lot of these nonprofits. You've seen the urgency of a lot of these nonprofits. And instead of it detouring you, you and your husband are running headfirst into joining them. And I think that right there is so impressive. I just love, and okay, good, she's back. But I love the fact that instead of you being detoured and defeated by some of the stories that we hear, because we do hear things that are just like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. We hear it every day. It's like, this is what I love, but I just don't know how much longer I'm going to do it. Instead of that, you and your husband said, let's do it. Let's help people. Let's build this program to try to help out homeless vets. And that, I can't say enough about my admiration for you and your husband and the things that you guys are doing. So, I mean,
thank you, Zach. I haven't connected quite all the dots yet. I have a lot of ideas, and we're going to have space to be able to try to trickle into the community as best as possible, and when we thought rentals, that took a pretty hard pivot, and we were like, not just rentals through HUD-VASH to help veterans. Like, let's focus on that. But the other angle of this, and I know we touched on this tonight with the foundations, is what business efforts can I create and do that's going to help fund this more quickly? Because let's be honest, it's not normal market rent that you're getting when everything is invested and there is a door there or a few doors there. It's not like, okay, rent's going to come in and we can get the next one done. That doesn't work like that. I would say up here, it's probably half of what the market rent is. And that's okay. Like, I want a lot of cabins. I want a lot of doors. I want all of that, and we'll have the farm space where hopefully the goal is to find a way to use that land to create something that can give back to the community too, whether it's through food, whether it's through, I don't know, all natural something. I'm kind of talking off the cuff here, but
you know what? Stephanie, but that's the best way to do it, because you know what? The things, and Lori can attest to this, the things that are 100% going to succeed, this is the best way to go. This is how it is. Oh God, that sucked. And then you're going to go, there's no way in hell this is going to, people like that? What? And it's amazing how it kind of rolls in. I've told everybody for the longest time, I started this company. We're coming up, 7 years ago. I started this company 7 years ago. And I took the first 5 years and I figured out how to screw it up every way possible. That was almost my goal. I'm going to try to find every possible way to screw it up. And that way I can find out what works. And
learn. That's how we learn.
Yeah. Maybe it's a little bass backwards, whatever, but you know what? It truly did work. And I have all the faith and in all the support for you. And I think that you're going to do I think you're going to do fine. Before I have to let you go, and ladies, we're running out of time, but this was a fantastic show. Stephanie, tell me a little bit about your program that you got now with furniture and gently used goods.
Yeah, sure. So, something we thought of for the last few years, kind of launched it. And I feel like the time was right when we did it just about 2 months ago now. We are P&S Improvements locally here in Pennsylvania, but we branched off to distribution side, where we have a page on Facebook right now. And we also have an eBay store. And what we're trying to do is give back to the community. Inflation is really high. People are struggling here right now, right? So home improvements in general are, I would say, put on the back burner for a lot of people. If they need a new bathroom vanity light, they're not going to go to the store and spend $150. Well, if we can offer it at maybe 40 or 50 and it be a fraction of the price, the idea behind that too is rolling whatever income comes from that into the housing efforts that we have going on too. We do live in an area where the Army Depot is right here. So we do have a lot of elderly, we do have veterans here. And it's been really nice to kind of see them take advantage of some of these things that we're offering. So I am offering it locally first. If I have a surplus, it's going on the eBay page. But of course, if you need something, it's best to go onto our group page and shop there, because even if you need something delivered, I could give you a better rate than what eBay is charging over there. So, but I do ship some things, local pickup for the larger items, but just trying to offer a variety of things to help people feel a little bit better, in their homes, and be able to still do the improvements that they may want to do, even with the food costs and things being so high. So yeah, kind of came into action right when I feel it was the best time.
Well, I love it. Hey, everybody, you know what? This was fantastic. Lori, Stephanie, thank you for sticking around for the full 2 hours. I greatly appreciate it. Sadly, our time has come to say goodbye. Wasn't that somebody else who was saying that? But I would like to remind everybody, hey, you know what? If you have an extra hoodie, throw it in your car. Elements kill everyone. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, orange, or green. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, Muslim, or whatever. Elements kill. If you got extra food, just throw it in your old hillbilly Tupperware, zap it for a couple minutes, and take it to somebody who's struggling. Food is difficult to find right now. Make sure that you're taking care of each other. Love somebody out there, because somebody out here loves you. Look, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone, okay? So just remember, please remember, that nobody needs to go it alone when we all come together. My name is Zach Clayton with Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PACT channels. We'll see you on Friday for Community Impact.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home. Out alone a part of Sunset Boulevard.